Earlier, we told you that Vice President Kashim Shettima and former Governor of Lagos, Fashola, have both condemned the calls to return to the parliamentary system of government. We're joined live now by guest National Coordinator, Middle Belt Patriots, Zadegi Yusuf. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let me kick off by asking you, what are the implications of transitioning from presidential to parliamentary system of government for Nigeria?
For Nigeria, I think because we started off on that note from the onset, where we had, the regions, and it got to a point where a lot of things were not properly addressed. And I think where, the military came in, where states were created and all of that. Now, the constitution that basically has given birth, what we have now, the Northeast, not Central, Northwest, the South, Southwest, Southeast, and all of that, was basically handed down. I've looked through it, and I will still do a very thorough, study of it. But the fact that it was something that was handed down by the military, it was something that was not representative of the peoples, of the ethnicities that, make up the Nigerian state, the peoples that make up the Nigerian state. And it was something that equally incorporated or integrated into it the dominance of a particular region politically over the rest. The implication of it is that there would be more, it's something I welcome to begin with, there would be, it's going to represent more of the yearnings of people, or of the peoples, talking about their ethnicities, their localities where they are. And then it would basically make it, I'd say, impossible for anybody to subjugate any particular region's political, advantage. I think that would be the implication. And the call, particularly from Shettima and Fashola. Fashola, for instance, I wouldn't really know what his interest is, but for Shettima, I could quite understand, basically, especially if the structure or the status quo as it is it's quite favorable for a certain part of the country, politically especially, and it has also given a certain sense of entitlement for people who believe almost basically as far as the play of power is concerned.
Mr. Yusuf,
it's more of a birthright.
Yes, if I may. If I may, because I still have a couple of questions for you. How would the parliamentary system of government, I was asking, how do you think the parliamentary system of government would affect separations of powers and even checks and balances in the Nigerian context?
First of all, there would be not so much power at, the center. That's one. And two, indeed, it's not completely wiping out the federal system as it is, because Abuja would still remain the federal capital territory. But in this case, the representation will be much fairer, and it will be more reflective. It reflects more the will of the people, especially of it would address the issue of indigents and all of that. And I think your earlier report spoke a lot about something that has to do with Niger Delta Commission, Northeast Development Commission, and all of that. The reason why those yearnings are coming in is because there is also actually a structure in place. There are state governors, there are local government, chairman and all of that. But issues are not directly being addressed. The simple reason is because the method of representation does not basically carry the yearnings of the people as such. But in a parliamentary system, you would have checks and balances of power. You would no longer have that central authority where maybe, a few people, or by virtue of the current structure, already the dominance of a particular region sort of undermines the yearnings and aspiration of people who have been otherwise subsumed or subjugated under authorities where they are not.
I would like you. Yes, I would like you to speak on the impact of this system, parliamentary system of government, on the role of the executive. I mean, how do you think this would impact the executive authority and also accountability?
Well, it will do so very, very positively. It will do so positively. And I think even though it's alien to us from the onset when, you know, the country began after independence, I would say whatever the military did basically created this scenario where we are basically in, where some people basically look like they have all the power to do and undo. But with the parliamentary, system, first and most importantly, looking at the proposal, the draft of it, basically there is a clear line of how much executive power lies basically anywhere. You know, there would be room to recall people who are not performing, and then there is equally that platform.
I am unable to hear you, Mr. Yusuf. Please try to check your audio level. We'll try to connect.
Sorry.
Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
I don't really know. Am I audible now? All right. So what I'm trying to say is, with the parliamentary system and with the power that the regions would have, which is no longer what basically obtains now, there would be a lot. The closeness of the people there would be a shorter proximity. Let me put it that way, where every representative basically is as close to the people he is representing as possible, such that it doesn't just look like So primarily, it will the people objecting it are primarily doing so because that power to do and undo and the accountability that this particular structure does not allow, as far as the masses are concerned, would have been dealt with, thoroughly in the parliamentary system.
Well, perhaps we should take a look at other countries that have towed this line. What lessons can we learn, for instance, from countries that have transitioned from presidential to parliamentary system of government? What are the lessons? And if you could cite examples of such countries.
Well, in terms of transitioning, I wouldn't say, but I just primarily I look at Great Britain. I look at their system where we began from, and I see as far as that country is concerned, although it's of course we cannot divorce our colonial history with them, but as far as abuse of power is, it's not exactly a country where the prime minister is primarily known to sort of say they do that. And then in terms of, accountability and in terms of the use of power in itself or in terms of being accountable, that I think to a large extent is an example to basically, look at. And, of transitioning basically from the presidential system to the parliamentarian, especially in terms of third world countries, I haven't really looked so much of that. But Nigeria would be a classical example that I think that would show some positive, especially looking at our diversity as a people.
I mean,
and like I said, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what are the potential implications, for instance, for political stability as well as governance, should we transition to a parliamentary system of government?
I am quite sure that a lot of it wouldn't. Yeah, there would be implications in the sense that whoever feels whatever power or whatever whatever mistake he had as far as the structure is concerned will definitely feel I may no longer be this relevant as I was. Now, it's a system that would not take away power from anyone, but would more likely empower people who were
Seems we lost connection with Mr. Zaraye Yusuf, but thank you so much for your insight on the news.